Greetings, dear beautiful spirit soul that you are. I got a challenge for you. Will the real you please stand up? Remember that? What was it? Something the truth. There was some kind of a game show so that people would come out and they would pretend to be the certain person. You had to guess which one of the three was really the person and which ones were the fake. Also, I was on What's My Line as a contestant because I was the last Mrs. Pancake of America, sponsored by the Mrs. America pageant in 1968. And so also I had invented this pancake recipe that I do have in my book called Dare to Be Great. And one of the contests was by Quaker Oats or Aunt Jemima pancake mix to invent a pancake recipe using their stuff. So, and I was in that Mrs. America pageant. So then I just called on divine intelligence, and when the winning recipe came to me, it did come in a flash, like, ta-da! It was like with lights, and I knew I was going to win. See, tangy strawberry roll-ups. But anyway, will the real you please stand up? And in anything, do you want the real or the pretend? You know, this is imitation butter. This is imitation orange drink. This is imitation strawberry. This is an imitation life. Now, you have to get this. This is, as we've been perceiving it, an imitation, a virtual reality, a shadow reflection of the divine, of the true, of the real. And just like I've used before, when you see the reflection of the mountain, of the trees in the water here, think of the trees or the mountain as the real, and then the reflection then is in the mirror. And it's all done with mirrors, in a sense, like a cube with mirrors on all the sides. So everything keeps repeating in that particular, you have to know how the virtual reality is operating, so that, and you have to know yourself, because then you know the difference or the distinction between what's real and pretend. And the pretend always feels bad because you have to promote it, you have to protect it, you have to fight over it, because there are a bunch of beliefs that are being propagated through religion, is a big one, through government, through medical, through education, and as a consistent message because it's of the mind based on fear and scarcity. That's how you know it's false. So when we deal with the divine, there is only abundance, the dance of the divine. And in the ancient scriptures, it says that in the spiritual realm, every step is a dance, you see, and every word is a song. You know, and people think, well, that's just in those old musical movies. Weren't those fun? Those were fun. They also had predictive programming in every single one of them. Remember White Christmas? It was a war propaganda movie. We love the war to be in the army, you know, blah, 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 blah. So when you know who you are, you perceive the way it's operating, you do what you need to be doing, you use your power and your energy to make sure you have that environment and that space that is nourishing you to be who you are, to do your work, you know, to offer your gifts, to work for the welfare of all. But basically, it's the whole thing of being true and being who you really are. So you have to know, will the real you please stand up? And it isn't who you think you are. It isn't who you've been taught to believe you are. And that's why you have to really know thyself. It's to use some tools to be able to discern the distinctions and the differences. Or we actually believe our thoughts. We think we are our accomplishments. We think we are nationality. We think we are the color of the skin. We think we are the color of the eye. All of this, that is local traffic. And when you keep people always involved in that, you keep them in the fear of not surviving. So because when you look at the mind, and you could and know the difference between you and the mind, knowing the difference between inner knowing, direct revelation, the divine operating, and then when you're in the mind trying to make things happen and force things happen and prevent the future bad thing happening, and this is always, and what you used to be, and you shoulda, coulda, woulda, and if you didn't, you didn't, and how bad you feel because you're so bad, and you were the worst bad that ever was the bad, and then, but you were so fabulous here, and you were there. It's the mind. It's endless. And you have to give up the never-ending story. Give up the never-ending story. It's a story, you see. It's not who you are. But by keeping us looping in the cube with the mirrors, we see that we're seeing the shadow reflection. We're receiving the shadow reflection of the divine, because in an artificial reality there has to copy something because there's nothing original. So then when you're always getting copies of copies of copies, and you have people who want to copy themselves so that everybody becomes just like them. You have your house just like mine, you have your body just like mine, you have your face just like mine, you have your hair just like mine, because then everybody will love you and you'll feel better about yourself, because all the time you're suffering, because why? The mind. You're torturing yourself. Why? You like it? Well, I can't help it. Really? You work the rest of eternity to try and convince others to love you? Why would they? They don't even know who they are. And then if we're trying to do that, you're missing out and torturing yourself until you achieve that right mate, until you get the divorce, until you have the children, until they're married and gone, until you get your next body. And if you shoulda, coulda, woulda, what you will do one day in the future is when you finally get there and have enough. So, how you know will the real you stand up? You have to know who the real you is. And that real you is that first response of kindness, of compassion, of divine love, of wishing for the welfare of all living entities, of taking the killing out of our lives and noticing how much there is in the abuse of others, and how through whatever it is that we are buying, we are purchasing, we are using, we are making those choices that then cause then for the faults, because the faults isn't you. And all of this other is then creating the suffering and the troubles and the pain and the abuse. So how is the real you isn't that. This isn't who we are. And that means in every moment to honor who we are. And it's like going for me barefooted as much as I can. It feels good. My feet are agile, my body's agile. You see, you're moving, you're going, you see. Our nature is activity. And I was thinking, I'm getting tired of cleaning this house because, it's an old 130-year-old farmhouse and everything. And I'm always like cleaning and go, you know what? I'm so glad I am, because I'm moving. I'm exercising. I'm getting rid of the demons, you see, by bringing forth the beauty of my own being. That's where what you're searching for is, and you have it because you are it. It is not it, you are. Let the real you please stand up.